Good evening, and welcome to Perspectives, our weekly forum for in-depth discussion on critical societal issues. Tonight, we delve into a topic of significant debate in education. Do single-gender schools provide a better learning environment? This question sparks passionate responses from educators, parents, and students alike, as it touches upon fundamental aspects of child development and academic success. We are privileged to have two distinguished guests to help us explore this complex issue. Arguing in favor of single-gender education is Dr. Samuel Green, an esteemed educational psychologist with extensive research in learning environments. Welcome, Dr. Green. And presenting the arguments against and in favor of coeducational models is Ms. Olivia Chen, a renowned sociologist specializing in education and social development. Welcome to you too, Ms. Chen. Our debate tonight will consist of opening statements, rebuttals, a cross-examination period, and concluding remarks. We encourage robust yet respectful dialogue. The insights shared here are vital as we consider how best to nurture our future generations.
Thank you, Ms. Hayes. It's a pleasure to be here to discuss such a pivotal aspect of education. I firmly believe that single-gender schools can, and often do, create superior learning environments by specifically catering to the distinct developmental trajectories and learning needs of boys and girls. One of the primary advantages is the reduction of social distractions and stereotype pressures that are frequently present in coeducational settings. In a single-gender classroom, students can focus more intently on their academic pursuits without the complexities of adolescent social dynamics between genders, which can, at times, overshadow learning. Furthermore, students often feel freer to pursue subjects or express interests without the fear of conforming to or deviating from traditional gender stereotypes. For instance, girls may feel more empowered to excel in STEM fields, and boys might more readily engage with arts and humanities in environments where such choices are not scrutinized through a gendered lens. Secondly, single-gender education allows for the implementation of tailored teaching methodologies. Research suggests and experienced educators observe that there can be general differences in how boys and girls learn most effectively. For example, boys might benefit more from kinesthetic, competitive, or activity-based learning, while girls might thrive in more collaborative, discussion-based environments. This is not about rigid stereotyping, but about having the flexibility to employ a broader range of pedagogical tools that resonate more strongly with a particular group, thereby optimizing instruction and engagement. It allows educators to fine-tune their approaches to maximize learning potential. Finally, there is compelling evidence suggesting that students in single-gender schools, particularly girls in subjects like science and mathematics, can achieve better academic results and exhibit higher levels of confidence. When learning environments are designed to minimize gender bias and maximize engagement for a specific gender, the outcomes can be remarkably positive. These institutions can foster a sense of camaraderie and support among students, leading to increased participation and a more profound intellectual curiosity. In conclusion, single-gender schools offer a valuable educational choice, one that can unlock academic potential and build self-assurance in students, preparing them effectively for their futures.
Thank you, Ms. Hayes and Dr. Green. While I respect the intentions behind single-gender education, I contend that coeducational schools are crucial for developing well-rounded individuals who are thoroughly prepared for the diverse, mixed-gender society they will inevitably inhabit. My primary argument centers on preparation for the real world. The workplace, civic life, and familial structures are overwhelmingly coeducational. Schools, as formative institutions, should reflect this reality to equip students with the essential skills for intergender communication, collaboration, and mutual respect from an early age. Segregating students by gender, however well-intentioned, risks creating an artificial bubble that ill-prepares them for the complexities and nuances of everyday interaction with the opposite sex. Learning to navigate these interactions effectively is a critical life skill. Secondly, there's a significant risk that separating students by gender can inadvertently reinforce traditional gender roles and stereotypes, rather than challenge them. If educational approaches are designed based on perceived gender-specific learning styles, we might limit students' exposure to diverse ways of thinking and problem-solving, potentially pigeonholing them into predetermined categories. This could inadvertently signal that certain subjects or behaviors are more appropriate for one gender than another, which is precisely the kind of stereotyping we should be striving to dismantle in modern education. Furthermore, the development of social skills and empathy is profoundly enhanced by daily interaction in co-educational settings. Students learn firsthand to understand, respect, and cooperate with individuals of the opposite gender. These interactions are vital for fostering empathy, reducing prejudice, and building healthy interpersonal relationships. They learn to appreciate different perspectives and work through disagreements constructively with all peers, irrespective of gender. Therefore, I believe coeducation provides a more natural, holistic, and effective environment for the comprehensive development of young people, preparing them not just academically, but socially and emotionally for the world ahead.
Ms. Chen raises a valid point about real-world preparation, and I appreciate her perspective. However, it's important to distinguish between the primary function of an academic environment and broader social development. The principal aim of schooling is to provide the most effective learning conditions possible. While social skills are undoubtedly important, they can be, and often are, effectively cultivated through structured and unstructured out-of-school activities, community involvement, and family life, all of which are typically mixed gender. A focused academic environment during school hours does not preclude rich social development elsewhere. Regarding the concern about reinforcing stereotypes, I would argue the contrary. Well-designed single-gender programs can actively dismantle stereotypes. For example, an all-girls school can create an environment where taking advanced physics or leading a robotics team is normalized and encouraged, free from any implicit gender bias that might exist in a co-ed setting. Similarly, an all-boys school can foster a culture where participation in drama, choir, or creative writing is celebrated. The supportive, tailored environment can empower students to explore non-traditional interests without fear of judgment. Ultimately, the focused learning environments in single-gender schools aim to build a strong academic and personal foundation. This robust foundation, encompassing confidence, subject mastery, and critical thinking, is what truly equips students to navigate and succeed in the diverse, real-world Ms. Chen rightly values.
Dr. Green speaks of tailored teaching, but I must question the scientific robustness and potential oversimplification of so-called gender-specific learning styles. The notion that all boys learn one way and all girls another is a generalization that fails to acknowledge the vast diversity of learning needs and preferences within each gender. Effective teaching should be about individual differentiation, not broad-brush gendered approaches. Such approaches risk overlooking students who don't fit these supposed norms, potentially disadvantaging them. Furthermore, when Dr. Green cites improved academic outcomes, it's crucial to consider confounding variables. Many studies on single-gender schools are complicated by factors such as school resources, teacher quality, student selection bias, and the socioeconomic background of the student population. Often, these schools are private institutions with more resources or selective admissions. Therefore, any observed benefits may not be solely or even primarily attributable to gender separation itself, but rather to these other contributing factors. It's difficult to isolate the single variable of gender composition. My core concern remains: isolating students limits their opportunities to learn from the rich tapestry of diverse peer interactions that co-educational settings naturally provide. These interactions are not mere social diversions. They are vital for cognitive development, broadening perspectives, and fostering the critical thinking skills necessary for a complex world.
Ms. Chen, you advocate for co-educational schools as a reflection of the real world. However, doesn't this real-world model in schools often lead to the perpetuation of existing societal gender biases in subject choices and classroom participation, with, for example, boys sometimes dominating discussions, or girls shying away from certain STEM subjects?
That's a pertinent question, Dr. Green. It's true that gender biases can manifest in co-educational settings, just as they do in society at large. However, I believe the solution is not segregation, but rather proactive and inclusive teaching practices, gender awareness training for educators, and curricula that actively challenge these biases. Co-educational schools provide the very arena where these biases can be identified, confronted, and addressed directly, teaching students how to navigate and overcome them, which is a crucial skill for the, quote, real world you mentioned.
If co-education is inherently superior for social development, as you suggest, how do you explain the persistent and troubling issues of gender-based bullying, sexual harassment, or the intense social pressures related to appearance and relationships that can unfortunately occur and sometimes thrive in mixed gender school environments?
These are serious issues, and no school model is immune to them entirely. However, co-educational schools offer the opportunity to address these problems head-on, teaching students about consent, respect, and healthy relationships in a mixed-gender context. Dealing with these challenges, with appropriate support and education, is part of social learning. Isolating genders might reduce certain types of interaction, but it doesn't necessarily equip students with the skills to prevent or handle such issues when they inevitably encounter them later in life.
Considering that students, particularly during early adolescence, develop at different paces both emotionally and physically, isn't it possible that for certain developmental stages, a single-gender environment might offer a less pressured, more nurturing space for academic focus and personal growth, allowing them to mature without the added complexities of intergender dynamics?
While I acknowledge that adolescence is a period of significant change, I believe that navigating intergender dynamics with guidance is part of healthy development. Creating a supportive and inclusive co-educational environment that is sensitive to developmental stages is key. Shielding students from these interactions might delay their ability to form healthy, respectful, cross-gender relationships and understandings, which are essential. Dr. Green, if we were to broadly adopt single-gender schooling as a preferred model, how would we realistically prevent creating a generation that is potentially less adept at natural, day-to-day interaction, spontaneous collaboration, and understanding with the opposite sex in their future professional and personal lives, where such skills are paramount?
That's a common concern, Ms. Chen, but it assumes that single-gender schools operate in a vacuum. Quality single-gender education doesn't mean complete gender isolation. Many such schools actively facilitate structured and unstructured mixed-gender activities, such as debates, sports competitions, arts programs with other schools, and community projects. The focus is on providing an optimal learning environment during academic hours, while still ensuring ample opportunities for healthy social interaction with all genders outside of that specific context.
You frequently mention tailored teaching methodologies. How can we rigorously ensure that this, quote, tailoring doesn't devolve into crude stereotyping, where all boys are assumed to learn one way and all girls another, potentially disadvantaging those students who don't fit these prescribed molds and reinforcing limiting gender narratives?
Effective tailored teaching in a single-gender context is about expanding options, not limiting them. It's about understanding general developmental patterns and learning preferences that may be more prevalent in one gender, and then using that knowledge to offer a wider toolkit of teaching strategies. It is not about prescribing one method for all boys or all girls. Good educators in any setting differentiate instruction based on individual student needs, and single-gender schools simply provide one more lens through which to consider those needs, aiming to engage students more effectively, not to stereotype them.
While some individual students might indeed thrive, What about the broader societal potential for single-gender schools to inadvertently exacerbate social divisions or create an us versus them mentality between genders, potentially hindering the development of mutual understanding and solidarity across gender lines?
I believe the opposite can be true. By fostering strong self-esteem and confidence within their own gender group, students can become more secure and thus more open and respectful in their interactions with other genders. The aim is to build confident individuals who then engage with others from a place of strength, not to create division. A focus on shared humanity and respect is integral to any good school, regardless of its gender composition. Ms. Hayes, Ms. Chen, and to our listeners, throughout this discussion, I have endeavored to highlight the significant, tangible benefits that single-gender education can offer. We've discussed how these environments can enhance academic focus by reducing social pressures and distractions that are often part of the co-educational experience. Crucially, single-gender settings can diminish gender stereotyping in subject choices and activities. In these spaces, girls are often more inclined to pursue STEM fields, and boys may feel more comfortable exploring arts and humanities, leading to a broader development of their individual talents and interests, free from preconceived notions. Furthermore, the ability to tailor instructional strategies to better align with general learning patterns observed in boys and girls allows educators to engage students more effectively, potentially unlocking higher levels of academic achievement and fostering a deeper love for learning. It is essential to understand that advocating for single-gender education is not about proposing a universal mandate for all students. Instead, it is about championing the provision of a valuable option, a choice for parents and students who find that such an environment best suits their specific needs and learning preferences. Diversity in educational approaches is a strength. Concerns about social skills development are understandable, but as I've mentioned, reputable single-gender schools are not islands. They often facilitate numerous structured and informal mixed-gender interactions, ensuring students develop socially as well as academically. The core academic period, however, benefits from focused attention. In closing, I urge you to consider the profound potential of single-gender schools to improve student confidence, enhance academic outcomes, and allow young people to explore their capabilities in a uniquely supportive and affirming setting. It is about creating environments where every student can truly reach their full potential, equipped with the knowledge and self-belief to succeed in any path they choose.
Thank you, Ms. Hayes. As we conclude, I want to reiterate my firm conviction in the holistic benefits of coeducational schooling. My arguments have centered on the undeniable importance of learning and growing within a diverse environment that accurately mirrors the society our children will enter and shape. Co-education is not merely about placing boys and girls in the same classroom. It is about fostering the development of crucial intergender social skills, empathy, and mutual respect through daily, authentic interaction. These are not peripheral benefits. They are fundamental to becoming well-adjusted, collaborative, and effective citizens and professionals. While Dr. Green points to the potential for single-gender schools to counteract stereotypes, I maintain a significant concern that such segregation, however well-intentioned, carries an inherent risk of entrenching them, limiting students' understanding of the diverse spectrum of identities and capabilities that exist within all genders. The challenges that sometimes arise in coeducational settings, be they biases or social pressures, should not be met with segregation, but with improved educational strategies, more inclusive policies, and a commitment from educators to create equitable learning spaces for everyone. Addressing these issues within a mixed environment is, in itself, a valuable learning experience. The long-term benefits of coeducation are clear. It prepares students for a lifetime of collaboration, understanding, and equality between genders. It teaches them to navigate differences, appreciate diverse perspectives, and work together towards common goals, skills that are indispensable in our increasingly interconnected world. Therefore, for a society that genuinely strives for equality, mutual respect, and robust collaboration between all its members, I believe coeducation is not just an option, but the more constructive and enriching path forward for the vast majority of students. It is an investment in a more integrated and understanding future.
Dr. Samuel Green, Ms. Olivia Chen, thank you both for your exceptionally articulate, insightful, and passionate arguments this evening. You have given us a great deal to consider on this complex topic. Tonight's discussion has clearly illuminated the core tension, the desire for tailored, potentially more focused academic environments that single-gender schools may offer, versus the imperative for social preparedness and the development of intergender understanding that co-educational settings champion. There are clearly strong arguments on both sides, and the most suitable environment may indeed vary depending on the individual student's personality, needs, and circumstances. We encourage our audience to reflect further on the complexities presented. Thank you for joining us on Perspectives. Good evening.